Right. Well, Paul, good to see everybody. I hope you leave here with nothing, and therefore I did a damn good job. Um, let's see. Again, we like to speak from a simple understanding. First of all, if you've heard it before, it's not the words, it's the energy around it all. So we're in the spiritual subpoena while you're reading the spiritual subpoena. So the idea of non-duality, the way I see it, is just two words, non meaning not, duality. So you could say not to, or non-duality, or not duality, but it's really a negation, not a denial, but a negation. So, and that you arrive at the non-duality in a weird way because you've never left. So any journey, even if it's just a second or a half of a foot, is too much. So in a weird way, the way you arrive at where you already are is to recognize what you're not. Yeah, it's just that simple. So the way you arrive at where you already are is recognizing what you're not. And you're recognizing what you're not, trying in a lot of ways to arrive somewhere. Yeah. So you see it, and it doesn't matter. It could change what it's doing or not. It doesn't matter. But you sort of lift above it and you see what you're not. Now, people sometimes they think when there's a realization of what they're not, tons of things are going to happen. But that's been the case the whole time. Yeah. You are not what you're not. Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't mean mountains are going to move because that's been the condition. In other words, people believe in a way that they've lost something that they had, like they lost self, but for years they self had them. But that's not the case. So when people go, what would happen if I lose myself? I'll just lay on a couch all night, or maybe I'll drop acid, which they're not going to probably do. And they assume that there would be so much different behavior if they lost what they never had. Yeah, it would just go on just the way it's going on because there's never been a self. Yeah, so it's like the behavior doesn't dramatically have to change when there's a recognition that you're not that, and then you get a sense of what you would call non-self. It doesn't have to be followed by huge explosions because it's been the truth the whole time. Yeah, it's just the narrative stream that's drawing interest and attention from, let's say, what we are to what we're not, just weakens. So now the attention and interest, it's like someone who called me the other day. Something was happening in their life, and it was an important thing for the other person involved. But when they presented it, it was all about them. And I basically said, bro, the whole point is it's all about the other person. This is a big deal in their life. It has nothing to do with you. Yeah? Just walk into the situation like that and you'll be more of service. It's the same thing like when I had got into a lot of trouble, and the action figure was like the bad sheep of a very bad herd of sheep, the Hedderman family. But I was like the worst sheep of them all. And so I felt guilt and shame, which I didn't want to feel, so I avoided family engagements, yeah? I didn't go to weddings, or I didn't go anywhere. And then I got sober, and I started realizing a little less that it's about me, and I started thinking, hey, my niece invited me to the wedding, I'm going to go to the wedding. So I would arrive at the wedding. The self-centeredness would be trying to forecast exactly how it was going to be. And I walked in there, and when I saw my nephews and nieces, they never even saw me there. All they saw was their deceased mother and deceased father. Like my older brother and sister had died, and all their kids when they saw me, it reminded them of their mother and father because I looked like my sister and brother. I had nothing to do with it, literally. Yeah, I just showed up. No one asked me how I was doing. It was just sort of, I had a role there. And being stuck on thinking I'm a role already, I wasn't allowing myself to be put to use in another role, basically. Yeah, because I was stubbornly addicted to being right about the role I thought I was. When I was willing to let go of that shit, and it's not even letting go, it's realizing there was no one ever to hold on to it, then I could show up and I was what anyone else wanted me to be, in a sense. It was awesome. Yeah. So this whole thing is just, nothing has to move. You just see it from a different perspective. Yeah. Instead of constantly trying to look for what you are from what you're not, because that's what's happening. I don't care what anyone says. That's what's happening. Yeah, we're walking into meetings with a mistaken identity, and we're basically hearing descriptions of what we are, and we're coming to a conceptual knowledge of that, and then we find it doesn't really translate into any ease and comfort. We're not traveling light or anything, and actually the knowledge of what we are, held by what you're not, makes what you're not even heavier. Yeah, I mean, it has more shit to feel guilty about. You know what I mean? So I just don't see it going anywhere. And then remember in the beginning, you would go to meetings and the people would say, well, what you are or what God is indescribable, it's inscrutable, it's incomprehensible. Then why fucking try to explain it? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah? The point is, I don't need another description of being a lion when I'm mistakenly taking myself to be a sheep. It doesn't work. Yeah, it didn't for me, and I've watched tons of people in spiritual addiction, and to have a word like enlightenment be turned so crazily around that it's being used as a blunt object for people to beat themselves up with, something's off there. Yeah, something is off, and I don't think it's the word enlightenment. Yeah. I think it's who the hell or how the hell are we hearing it? And I feel like that was always under-addressed at satsangs. I did. I went, I heard all I am is consciousness, sounds good. Yeah. I have no free will. I'm not the doer. Yeah. But what's hearing that fervently believes it has free will. Yeah. What's hearing that its source code is being the doer, because if the actions coming through you weren't yours, whose life would it be anyway? Yeah, you would be living in uncertainty, and I don't know, and for that which you're not, that's a scary proposition. But that's the freedom, really. The freedom is you don't have a flying idea what's happening, really. Yeah, and you don't even care, basically. You don't. You lose interest on all that because everything I thought it's going to be the pivot point of all pivot points. If I turn left here and I should have turned right, my whole life is going down the drain. It's all baloney. Yeah. I was brought to the cliff of surrender and I backed off. What should I have done? Well, fucking back off. Chill out. You're going to be brought to that cliff thousands of times. Why? You know what I mean? Maybe it's not the moment to jump in. So this message is simple. There is no non-duality. There's no non-duality meetings. Where? Tell me. Yeah. Who's attending and where? Yeah. There's nothing new in non-duality in 2020. It's the same negation. That's all it is. And it never turns into... it's non-duality does not turn into oneness. It doesn't. It's just negation. That's all it is, because there doesn't need for anything to be affirmed. You are the affirming. You are the being. You are the being. Yeah? So by seeing what you're not and understanding what you're not and losing interest in all of the methodologies that what you're not uses to obscure right? What you are, when you lose that, you see you're the one that's blowing the smoke, yeah? And then that seems to diminish, and then things become clear. And now you see the absurdity of believing you can be out of a moment. You just see it completely, yeah? You see it completely. There's no way in hell I've ever been out of any moment. Yeah. So then why would I be motivated to try to get into the moment? Why? I would have to believe an insane idea I can be out of a moment to make wanting to be in the moment enough that I'll fucking go to a retreat for $3,000. How to learn how to be in the moment. That's insane. Yeah. So what we're saying, and we're not saying it to what you're not, we're saying it to what we are. Yeah. What we're saying is you can't be out of a moment. Yeah. Impossible. And conversely, you can't be in self. Yeah. The mental state will assume you are. The mental state will imply you are. The mental state will show pictures of you being in it. But in fact, you are not in self. There's selfing, but there's not a self to be in, and there's not a self to come out of. It isn't. Yeah? So, all right, finally, the horse is in front of the cart. Yeah? You're not trying to get out of what you're not in, and you're not trying to get into what you're not out. That is unbelievable, really. You cannot believe how many subdivisions of that mistake just reverberate all day. Yeah? It's just a huge swath of the whole agitated, volatile condition just chills out. Yeah? And then you can feel time. You can feel it. You can feel like this mental oomph that's moving us from each moment to the next fucking moment. Yeah? It's almost like you can't stop anywhere. You're always moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. There's no rest to be found. Yeah? And what we think is stop is produced in a circumstance and a condition, and your engine's still revving. Yeah? It's different than supersonic speed, so you think it's not still. It's still running. It's still waiting to get to a bigger and better. Or for this little free sample to stabilize. When's it gonna stabilize? Yeah? Well, when you stabilize. Yeah? You think the glass is shaking? It's on a fucking shaking table. Yeah? The glass isn't shaking, it's the fucking table. And you want to go, I want it to stabilize. Well, check it out. See if you're the legs or not. Yeah? And this is just so that, hey, you are what you're looking for. Hopefully that's what you're brought to. You are what you're looking for. And then that looking that's directed in time with intent is relieved. And then that's the seeing. The seeing here gets bastardized into a form of looking. But it's always the seeing. If you can just slow all up the shit up, and then if all the looking stops, there's the seeing, yeah? And that's what you've been looking for. You've been using a sped up seeing to look for seeing, yeah? If the sped up seeing chills out, you'll know it, yes? You are what you've been looking for. It'll be super clear. I mean super clear. You don't need to rush to an authority on another continent to get blessed by the clarity. You'll know in your own gut, And now you're established in something reliable. And then you start, it's sort of like a spiritual trickle-down economics. It trickles down to the action figure, and the action figure really doesn't know why, but it's losing interest in a lot of shit, and it's better off, yeah? It thought it was going to be better off by having a lot of interest in a lot of shit, but it's almost the exact opposite, yeah? And that the ailments it had without so much attention on them, they get to change. Yeah? If I'm constantly obsessed over it, it seems to amplify it. So you see, wait a minute. I'm this huge power that's being directed by a fucking myopic mental state. Yeah? Just like if when I was a kid, you'd find a bug and you'd want to see it better. So you get a magnifying glass and you didn't know you were aligned with the sun. And then by you looking at the poor bug, unbeknownst to you, you were incinerating the fucking bug because the light was too focused on it, yeah? My wanting to see it and know it, I burnt the fuck out of it. Yeah? This isn't a random, this is a hint. This is a clue, yeah? This isn't about focused, concentrated, fucking laser-like, I'm on the path. Fuck that. You're going to blow up in that condition, yeah? But it's a dispersed, relaxed awareness, yeah? And you see a whole lot more when your setting is panoramic than it is hyper-focused. You do. I swear, you get a sense of the seeing much more when it's dispersed instead of using it as a way of looking for it, yeah? And what's going to call off the dogs? The other futility of trying to find what you already are. That's what's going to call off the dogs, yeah? You're going to know in your gut the hopelessness of trying to understand it as Paul. You are, yeah? It's just going to be... It's so thoroughly convincing, the mind becomes malleable, yeah? It takes other forms, yes? And then maybe instead of meditating, you feel meditated, yeah? Maybe there's that people search for the music of the celestial spheres, you'll be hearing it all fucking day. No matter how loud is it outside, you'll still be hearing a louder sound that's before any other sound. Yeah? You didn't sign up for the subscription. You know money's coming out of your bank. You don't get a bill. Yeah? It's not like a cable company. They can, minimize it, whatever. No, it's just there. Yeah? And you find solace in it. Because the one thing we've been gypped of here is things have been promised to be everlasting and they're not. Yeah? The rest isn't a mistake. It's where we're trying to find rest is the mistake. Or how we're trying to find rest and for what are we trying to rest for. That's the mistake. The rest is readily available. Yeah? I mean, I can follow the requirements of non-duality perfectly because there's no requirements. That's the type of action figure I am. I don't want to have to do anything if I don't have to do it, really. And thank God that's the answer of non-duality. You are that. Yeah? And then you're doing what you put to use, just like everything else is. Yeah? Yet there will be no sense of ownership of it because it's so damn obvious that you have nothing to do with it that it keeps you in a humble condition, the action figure and the little brain. Yeah? I don't care how many people try to convince me that this is Paul Hedderman's message. I'm very clear it's not Paul Hedderman's message. Completely clear. From day one. I would never do a Zoom if I was bringing Paul Hedderman's message. I warn you against Paul Hedderman's message. I followed Paul Hedderman's message a lot. It doesn't work. So this isn't, the messenger is just it's not essential. Let's put it that way. The message will still be here when this passes away. YouTubes and Zoom recordings. Yeah, you'll get the best of Paul long after Paul's passed away. That's awesome. The booster rocket already knows it's done its job. It's just floating. It's waiting to land in Never Never Land. The job, we put out the message. That's all. That was the only job I was called to do. We've done that. Yeah. We even spit out 3 books that I had nothing to do with. Talks from 2091, whatever, 1991, 2091 also. You got to be in the platinums group to get that message. The message 2091 is really good. So I'm happy to see everybody. Bombs away. Yeah.
Anybody want to raise their hand? Well, I will check with you. Wouldn't you say, though, that so-called real-time, live time is better than going to the recordings and books and stuff like that?
Well,
Not
as
better,
long as
but
I'm alive, I think that, but that may be a weird.
yeah, just because of
That
that
may
odd
be a
thing.
weird final hurrah for my own relevance, but who knows?
Well, like, because like even it's not even the words, right? So that's
No,
because even the
no.
words are trying to apprehend it, and so certainly videos are trying to apprehend it.
Yes, I know.
This thing's kind of funny. Oh, Pat raised her hand. You want to go
Yeah.
ahead, Pat?
Mhm. So yeah, it's Pat from Vancouver, Canada. And Paul, I'm not going to talk about healing this week. Whew.
We're
Um,
going to start our own channel, Healing Channel with Pat.
I went back. I told you that I first heard you on that Buddha at the gas pump interview with Rick Arnold.
Yes.
And I went back and I was like, what was it about that interview that just really grabbed me right from the beginning? So I went back, I listened to it. I'm like, that's it. That was it. So I'm just going to like maybe.
What was it?
What's that?
What was it?
Yeah, well, you said, okay, and I wrote some notes here. So you were saying to Rick, awakening is happening now. All there is awakening through conscious contact, through seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. It awakens that. And then I think Rick was saying, well, what do you mean by conscious contact? Do you mean like just experiencing life? And you went, yeah. But then he said, well, look, there's like 7-8 billion people and you know, they're experiencing life and they're not really having any kind of experience of awakening. So where's the disconnect there? And then you said, well, there's a difference between experiencing life, this conscious contact, and the interpretation, this mental process that's saying, I'm the one having the conscious contact. I'm the one experiencing something. And, you know, it's the interpretation, taking the interpretation to be my experience. And so I don't know if I'm expressing right, but when you were saying that, I just was like, whoa, whoa. So there's, you know, conscious contact, just the seeing, the feeling, the hearing, the tasting, the touching, like experiencing life, like experiencing life. I am experiencing life versus like the capital I am, capital M, like the real who I am is experiencing life. That's like you said, that's awakening. But then there's this whole, the I, the self, brings up this interpretation that says, oh, I, the self, am experiencing life. And then it just becomes an interpretation. And I'm like, so maybe that's why I'm feeling irritable, restless, and discontent, because I'm not directly experiencing what's happening to me, going through You know, it's going through this like this
Yeah, yeah.
experiencing an interpretation of it.
Well, it's sort of like when you buy coffee beans and then you look at the roast date, yeah, and it was like roasted 4 months ago. Then that's sort of an interpretation of a coffee. It's stale by now, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So basically, the first of all, this isn't an experience. Obviously, you can't. You'd have to be something else to experience what you are, yeah. So that's not. See, there's a lot of experiences offered to what you're not, but that experience isn't available to what you're not. Because all the while, what you're not is what's being. Yeah? So what you're not can't experience what it truly is. It's impossible. It negates its seeming interpretive reality. Yes? And then you realize experience is also a field of addiction for the selfing. Yeah? The selfing uses the claiming of experiences instead of having consciousness as the trigger of arising. It's you now are the trigger of arising. Yes? And so the experiences are used to reinforce the experiencer. And then the ownership of a life is quite easy then. Yeah? Well, these are my experiences. This is my life. You don't have the same experiences I have, so that's your life. You see? So it's all of it is an attempt to verify this insane idea that we're separate, long-lasting, independent things. Yeah. Do you think if something went out of the way to make a separate, long-lasting, independent thing, they would only let it last for like 80 years? Seems like a waste. It's sort of like where I live. There's a lot of rich people with beautiful Ferraris, and they can only go 55 miles per hour. Seems sort of weird, you know. It looks like you have a Ferrari, but is it Ferrarying? You know, there's no Ferrarying. They can't. They'll get pulled over. I guess they have the money to pay, but still, you know, they. That's it. They just make a sound every once in a while when they're passing you. But so, just to be clear, I don't see this as another experience. I don't think what we are falls in the category of experience. Yeah. It's that which is allowing all experiences, but it is not an experience. Yeah. And again, for you to have an experience of something, you have to be another thing. Yes? There's got to be, it takes two to tangle, so to speak. Yeah. And that's not what we are. We're not of two-ness. So we're not of experience, I don't feel. Yeah. Yeah. So the thing of, you know, it's just the logic of non-duality. Yeah. If there isn't two, then the whole basis of experience, yeah, is seen as not the end all and be all of things. The highest level of anything isn't to experience it. The highest level would be it, yes, which we are at. Yeah. But then there's a mental movement, and in time it can look like that isn't so. So then we look for what we are in time, and we're blind to it because what we are is not of time. Yes? You see? Yeah. So this is about negating all of those little mechanisms, subtle ones and obvious ones, trying to grab or acquire or get or land or maintain or stabilize. All of those are pointless pursuits in regard to what you are. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So in a way, what is stating that it fervently has a longing to arrive at that, well, you got to break the news to it early, because it's not going to happen. That's when you've been to a lot of satsangs and you see someone there who's been to like 500 satsangs. You're trying to tell them, bro, you're not going to get it. Yeah. This furthering of wanting to understand it to such a point of saturation that it's going to become it doesn't work. Yeah. It just doesn't. So, and sometimes the only way you'll get there to realize it doesn't work by working it quite a lot, letting it work, and then the failedness of the system will reveal itself sooner or later. Yeah, it will, because it's failed. It can't deliver you. You're not going to arrive at the truth. You've never left the truth. Everything is explained in a moment of no time, and none of it, they'll always be incessantly explained in time, which goes nowhere. That's why all this is an invitation. This ain't the dinner party. It's an invitation. You're at the dinner party. So we try to show you a menu. We talk about knives and forks with the hope that it will trigger it. Instead of hoping I'll be eating later, or when am I going to be eating, or I remember once I was eating, eat, get into it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Why put it off any moment later, Or you realize whatever you're doing underlying, that's what you are being. Yeah? So there's nothing you need to do. Act like you're waiting for a meal and you'll be full. Waiting for the meal. Yes? Yeah. The action figure's got his pantomime. It does. It's going to go through, it's going to have actions and reactions until it wears out. Yeah? None of that means fucking anything, really. Yeah? It's only when it's been giving a false reference or relevance, and then we believe we can obscure us from what we are. That's ridiculous. It's impossible. Yeah? On the sun side, no matter how big the cloud, no matter how incredible exotic the cloud is, no matter how long the cloud lingers in the sky, it can't block you off from the sunlight if you're on the sunlight side. Yeah? You're going to see clouds from both positions, but one position lends the cloud an incredible ability, which is to block you off from the sunlight. The other position doesn't lend that to the cloud. You see the clouds, but they don't have the inherent power to block you off, because they never had it. It was given to them by us dreaming. Yes? We're giving reality to things by dreaming as a thing. That's what's happening. When no thing is dreaming no thing, that's it. That's it. But now dreaming is dreaming things by being identified seemingly with the dreamt. Yeah? So now this thing gets verified by seeing other things, and those things get verified by seeing them from this thing. Yes? So we're like, we're the projection, and then the misperceiving, which increases the projection. Yes? We're like the star of the movie and the audience at the same time, and the light of the projector. The whole thing. Yeah? And then you find yourself seemingly in the movie, yeah? And then all the movie, though, isn't playing to you, the one that's in the movie. It's playing to the audience what you really are, to convince it's the one that's in the movie. The movie isn't playing to the thing. It's playing to the no thing. Yes? It doesn't have to waste any time convincing the thing. The thing, yeah, it's trying to convince what we are that we're not, yeah, so that it can it's going to give the technicolor to the movie. It's going to give the exquisiteness to an insane idea that I'm suffering separation. the false evidence can't produce that effect. It has to have the compliance of what's real to feel so fucking real. Yes? Yeah. Why is it that for 50 years you've taken something so seriously and in a drop of a hat you can see all through it, all the way? It had nothing to do with that, it had to do with you. One condition, it was solid and real, producing long lasting effects. Then suddenly, bing, you see through it. But see, the bell that gets rung is totally different. When you see through it, it tells you it's always been this way. Yeah? The other thing is telling you how you're feeling. It's saying it's always going to be this way, but in a bogus manner. Yeah? Yeah. It doesn't produce any hope. It's very fucking, oh, whatever. So, yeah, there you go. That's healing for you, honey. Yeah? The greatest healing is that you've never been hurt. That goes a long way. So, all right, Kaiser.
Hey guys, hey Paul, can you hear me?
Why do I want to keep saying Kaiser Suze?
Just because it was a good movie and it's
Yeah, yeah,
you can hear me, yeah?
yep.
Yeah, so I just came across you, I think it was, or your work, I think it was like a day or two ago, and
Oh,
uh, I'm I have my question is regarding the 12 steps, and if tonight's not the good night to do it, I can come back tomorrow and check that out.
all
I
right.
have
Well, let me see what you say.
yeah, so I've been sober. Actually, today is my sobriety date of 32 years,
Oh,
and
great.
so
Congratulations.
we got a date, a year in common, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
it struck me that I have a culture of the AA stuff. It's like a culture. If I go to if I try to go to a Zen thing, then I have to kind of absorb a lot of the Japanese culture and the Shintoism and stuff like that, and the things with 1,000 arms and a million legs and eyes and stuff. Or if I try to go to like a different form of like a meditative society that wants to explain how they do their thing. And I was always suspecting like the language is just there in AA in the 12 steps. If anybody's familiar, I'm familiar with it, and the language is there, but I couldn't unlock it by following by just going to the meetings I was going to. But I knew that what I'm going to talk. What is there? What is there? Well, the discovery of being fully authentic. That's my deal. It's like I want to be fully authentic, and so that's why I would meditate. That's why I would come into like the idea of an enlightenment or all this other stuff. And it was just driving me nuts because I could sit there and I could meditate and I could do all this other stuff, and I've had some pretty cool experiences, but I just couldn't stand the preciousness anymore of like, let's not swear, let's all be a certain meditative way and all this other stuff. And it just struck me that it is I could find a particular language that would make sense to me in the AA society, not that, I'm different than anyone else, not that I'm a special person because I'm an alcoholic or any of that shit. Just that, it's a culture that I understand. And I was listening to some of your speeches, and it seems that you have come across what I've suspected for a very, very long time, that I could fully be authentic beyond just like fixing a regular me and finding out, like dropping the me stuff. What you said, if you have a thought and you attach its mind to it, then it has a lot more weight. And I did that today. And man, it was like everything was a freaking joke that I was playing on myself. And I don't fully get it. I don't fully understand it. I'm still very much, the Kaiser doing this Kaiser things. Like that's how I operate today.
Excuse me one second, though, Kaiser.
Yeah.
That that which you are got it, and it demonstrated that by laughing uncontrollably. Yeah. So
Right. Yeah, I
all
can
the
kind of
knowledge
sense
that was necessary has already been gotten. Yeah. Now the fraudulence of Kaiser may want to believe it needs more understanding, but you don't. You got that's what it is, bro. There's let's say there's two mail slots. Yeah. One is a mental mail slot, and that has your name in big block letters, Kaiser, whatever, so no one can mistake it. That's where the messages go. And then there's another mail slot where this message is pointed at. Yeah, that mail slot, when it gets the the letters and the news, it laughs quite a lot. So while you were seemingly being Kaiser, it interrupted the Kaiser show and had one of those comedic moments that are fucking priceless. Yeah.
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 So
The only
my
thing
question is,
to,
you've come across a way with the a culture that kind of thing that you understood. You did you not did I'm asking, like, the Paul, plug into the Paul and relate to the Kaiser. Did you did you come across that language, and you could find a way that worked for you? I don't know. That's it's a kind of a
well, I
specific
found
question.
I heard other ideas, and then I heard those other ideas in the language of AA. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I heard other possibilities brought me to other possibilities, and then I heard them echoing in the words in AA, in the big book.
Okay, then I'll come back tomorrow and see how it works. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, yeah, but let me one thing. The only thing that wants to find the authentic self is the fraudulent activity. Yeah. Authenticness has no desire, or like a special desire to be authentic. It sort of is authentic. Yeah. It's the thing that's afraid of being found out that it's fraudulent, wants to be authentic. We're all frauds here. That's the way it is. Yeah.
All
There's
right, I got
no
a lot to learn. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
we're always the butt of the joke. It's always we're always going to be. If I take a position, it's going to be seen as hypocritical down the road. Yeah, you just can't. Everyone gets dirty here. Everybody. No there's no clean robes walking around this place. So you don't. Yeah. Yeah. So you give up all that stuff. I hope you will anyway. Yeah, because you know that which we're not, it's using our light to reflect itself, so to speak. Yeah. So it uses our light by sucking it towards its little story to reflect itself. Yeah. And then to say it's the sun. Yeah. But it's really just a fraudulent moon. Yeah. That is bouncing light from it's bouncing the sun's light to us, and then we think it's the moon. Yeah, but it ain't. Yeah, yeah. Come tomorrow. It's good. We have it's a nice and a very nice group, and there's people who stay afterwards, and because sometimes, just like any other group, there can be fundamentalism in any group, and so sometimes people feel a little claustrophobic from a rigid view of everything. So we have people like that all in recovery that are coming to these squares on Tuesdays and Thursdays to entertain other possibilities. Yeah, yeah. Nice to see you, Kaiser. Stick around. Mike, Clifford. I
Hey,
think
Paul.
Clifford wants a question. Hmm?
Yeah, it was. My question was triggered by the last speaker. being a 12 stepper, and I do think there is a place for both. Simply because I've experienced it. But like you say, it's what's looking.
Yes.
And you know, I was a very keen 12 stepper. It's an attribute of my action figure. I go in full tilt and then get quite cynical. And I started to notice the misuse of language. And something I used to read in A Course of Miracles was saying, you know, words are just symbols of symbols. So you find out what the symbols are, and then you find out what the symbols of symbols are, and you find out where it lands on you. And yeah, my question is I'm nearly 17 years clean, sober, some would say, and I've not had a sponsor for the last 5 years. And in 12-step circles, that's seen as almost heresy. And there's still a part of me wants the approval of the group and explain myself. But I feel no desire to explain myself. I still do, if you like, sponsoring. But I do get invasive thoughts about, is this just my arrogance?
I would say, is this arrogance? Because it's not yours.
Yeah.
Either way. But yeah. But what
Yeah.
happens? You have people like, I don't have a sponsor, but I have sponsoring. I have some of my sponsors. We change roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I,
have more time than I have, and we share, you know, as friends, and then we kick into AA, which is a different position in a conversation. Yeah. So I have it with
yeah.
companions on the way, so to speak. Yeah. But I haven't had a sponsor per se for years. You
Yeah.
know, indeed. Yeah.
Just as you were speaking, it occurred to me when I've taken some of your work and used it because I work in the industry, if you like, and in my previous life, let's say before I started to entertain non-duality, I would do step fours like basically like the policeman. You know, you're the policeman finding out your inherent flaws,
Yeah.
and then when I started to entertain the idea of there's an I looking at the me, if you like, and the idea of separation I started to get a sense of freedom from that, and I've been able to introduce that as not so much a posture but a new perspective. Say, entertain the idea that this is not you.
Yeah.
And I noticed it through the language of first of all, other people. I spot the flaws in other people far quicker than I do in myself. But then the policeman kind of goes, "This is you as well." And it was in about 5 years ago. I left the UK and I went to Rishikesh in northern India. I wasn't trying to expand the British Empire. I was just doing a bit of seeking. And there's a big kind of spiritual community there of all different schools, but most of them were doing yoga, and I wasn't yoga, so I was like I was not in the in crowd. There wasn't a 12-step community there, but we'd have meals and stuff, and they would tell me how long they'd been meditating for, and it was like a meditation competition. And there's a word they use in India, and I don't know if you can read that. Look,
They can't even.
they'd corrupted it. where people were just having competitions about how long they'd been sitting on their ass, and that come to mind. It was just namaste,
Namaste. Yeah. Namaste.
and I spotted the way that I can corrupt language to enhance my specialness, but I find it easy to spot in other people, but then I can use it for myself, to consider the idea that it's not who I am, that it's an attribute of the figure.
And it's not who they are either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's but when first encountered it, I feel like the policeman. Aha! I've caught you out.
That's a dance though. That
Yeah,
it's sort of like the Russian doll thing. You know, you open the Russian doll. There's another doll, and there's another doll. There's the policeman appears with the thief, and then it continues to go that way. Yes, yeah. It's policeman, thief, and then you see the policeman as a thief, and then you see that then another policeman shows up. It goes on and on until you don't need to see it all the way through. All you need is a few, let's say, repetitions, and hopefully the mind gets something. Yeah, yeah. Like look at what people happen. They come into AA, and AA allows them to see what they used to look from and see it as something other than them. And they'll call it the addict or whatever. So now that becomes the thief from the view of being the policeman. Yeah. So the recognition of the thief brings about the policeman. And then what happens is it doesn't stop there. The policeman is seen as the thief again, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's a mechanical thing. It's a mechanical thing that doesn't have to end for anything to be available. You just see it in a certain way that doesn't have the relevance anymore to block you off from anything. Yes? So thief, policeman, thief, policeman, thief, policeman, then bing, and then thief, policeman, thief, policeman. Yes.
We're not hearing you, Clifford, or I'm not. Paul, can you hear him?
No.
You don't show muted.
He disappeared,
No, I see him. I see him talking. That's why I knew something was up.
but he disappeared.
Yeah, Clifford disappeared, but he didn't.
Seeing it doesn't validate that he's there. All right, well, let's move to the next one.
Okay.
Maria, how are you there? Maria, you look like
Thanks,
you
Clifford.
don't get up, Maria. I was just saying hello. Saying hello to you. All right, next question.
Anybody else want to raise their hand?
I think George coming from the void. He's coming out.
And Chantel's waving her hand too.
Well, we'll get her next, yeah?
Okay, George, can you unmute?
Coco, how are you, Coco?
Yes, yes. You hear me?
I think so, yes.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, George.
Hi. Yes, hi. Well, I got so many leads the last meetings, the last months. I'm listening to you, and I enjoy the missing inclination of spirituality and all of that. That is really important.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing recurs. There's um, a saying of Ramana: if it's meant to happen, it will happen, no matter what you do. If it's not meant to happen, do what you want to do. It's not going to happen. And that kind of well, what to do with it? It's And
Well,
the other thing is,
this is what's more important to me, not the statement, but how it's heard. Yeah. If it's heard as the action figure, it's a very confusing statement because the action figure believes in the modality of doing, having, yes.
right,
So, but if it's heard from what you are, it's a beautiful message, yes. To me, the importance is to point out the two-ness of the hearer, yes. In other
mm,
words, the non-duality, something that's coming out of non-duality, is heard through the ears of duality, you see? And it just produces confusion and more concepts and stuff. So I
well,
feel that the importance of any statement is really from where or how is it being heard, yeah? Yeah.
well, it can be heard like in desperation, or there is there comes like a thing like patience to it. And giving up, but still I cannot give up. I'm just continuing. It's like I'm one of those addicts who, searching and going on and on and on, even though I have so much input.
It's
And
going to end because just like he said, you can't lose no matter what. So one way to finally get exhausted from all the systems is to have them fail. Yeah.
right, so
Yeah.
I go until it kind of empties itself.
Yeah. And it does. It has only a finite amount of juice. Yeah. Yeah. And every day, more and more of the attention and interest is getting withdrawn from it. So you'll be less interested in it at all anyway. Before it even ends, you have lost interest in it ending, really. Yeah. That's the
Mm,
beauty of it. We believe things have to end and they don't. The interest and attention just leaves it. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
But the process inside is like a constant 1880, 1880. That's not it. That's not it. That's not
No,
it.
no,
Like a
but don't.
measuring.
That's Ramana would say that too. You don't use this like a path. Yeah. Self inquiry isn't like a path. Self inquiry is really giving what you're not a chore to sort of see what it's not. Yeah, it's almost like it keeps it busy. It keeps the thief and the policeman asking each other, "Who am I?" with the hopes that you'll see the absence of that, which is our presence. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Mm,
Yeah. So the "Who am I" is a negation of as we talked before, the thief and the policeman. Yeah, and then
mm,
what's so is obviously already there. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. So he
mm,
says you can't use self inquiry like a fucking mantra. It doesn't
mm,
work. Yeah, and a lot of the part is when it's sort of like a heavyweight fight. There's very few occasions, but there are some where the both fighters knock themselves out at the same time. They
mm,
both and they both knocked out, and the referee doesn't know which one to count out. He's like looking over one the other. They're both knocked out. That's sort of what it's like. Yeah.
mm,
So the the, the what you're not asking, who am I, to another aspect of what you're not. It's like a knockout punch. You thinking you're knocking the one out, but both of you get knocked out. And then what's always there you'll have a sense of what's always there as always there. So when the thief and the policeman reappear, they don't change the fact. Like the old Zen saying, first there is the mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is a mountain. Yeah? But I like to add a no mountain before the first one. So first there is no mountain. That's the fact. Then there's a mountain. Yeah. Then there's an experience that there is no mountain. That's the whack. And then what happens is then there's a mountain again. But now you're not fucking fooled by the mountain's appearance. Yes? You're not buying hiking boots and having to believe you got to climb the mountain to get over it. You're not planning giant trips and going to outdoor stores, yeah, or getting maps. You just see the whole. It's like a charade, yeah. Let's live as if there's a mountain. So what? Who cares? You know there is no mountain. You know it before knowing there was a mountain and then having the event there is no mountain. Before both of that, you know there's no mountain. There's a clarity in what we are of no mountainness for sure. Yeah? That's what we're attempting to sort of play with. I'm not talking about the first appearance of the mountain seeking to have the experience of no mountain. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the fact is there's no mountain. Yeah? See, the little statement started at a mistake. It started out as the fact that there was a mountain, then there is no mountain, and then the mountain reappears. I'm starting with there's no mountain, yeah? And then there's a mountain appearing that wants to experience no mountain. And when it does, it doesn't fucking last, and the mountain appears again and it's bummed out. Because the mountain wants to experience no mountain. Nothing else does, just the mountain. Yeah? I'm saying there before that is no mountain. Yes? Yeah? Am I seeing the mountain from a mountain or from an absence of a mountain, or am I seeing it from no mountain? That's the whole point. Yeah? One isn't it. One isn't, oh, there was definitely a mountain, but now I'm in no mountainness, and I want that to stabilize. That's not it. It's before that. There is no mountain. Fact. Yeah? Yeah. So climb away, bro. You'll fall off the mountain and you'll find there was no mountain. But the way you're choosing to get there is by climbing to the mountain and then falling off far out. Yeah, you can't lose. The Course in Miracles would say, you and I are the dreaming of the dream, and we're going to dream ourselves out of the dream. So you and I are the dreaming of the mountains, and we're going to dream ourselves out of the mountains. And as we do, sometimes there'll be experiences, there is no mountain, but then the mountain will appear, but there'll be that feeling of no mountain will linger, and your dream of mountains and no mountains will get happier. You can't lose. Yeah? Because you are what you're looking for before you ever fucking look for it. Yeah? You are that. That's a fact. You know? So hold the mountain form until you get so fucking tired, you'll drop the fucking charade and you'll take a nice relaxation, and then the mountain will appear again, but you won't be fucking, climbing it anymore. You'll live right underneath it, so to speak. Who cares? You'll lose interest in it all. Yeah? Yeah. I don't see this as leading to a transcendent enlightenment. I see this as fucking dreaming. That's all. Yeah. I see it as finite. I see it as when it's over, it'll be like it never fucking happened. Yeah? And so how real is it? Really? How real is it? Yeah? So does things affect the action figure? Sure they do. But underlying it, all around it, is an understanding that this isn't real. It doesn't qualify for the term reality. It's dreaming. Yeah? Just like at night. If I didn't wake up, I would be taking the dream I'm in at night as this. I would be giving it, that would be what would be called the awakening. Yeah? The awakened dream. But see, there's the awakened dream comes sort of after the nightly dream, so we can recognize the nightly dream as dreaming, but we don't recognize the awake dream as dreaming. Yet it is, yeah? Why? Because there's a belief in this that gets disqualified when you wake up from the night dream. It was there as long as the night dreaming was going, but when there's a waking up, it's disqualified. Yeah? Because now all relevance is given to the awake dream, but it's still dreaming. Just we usually don't have a next thing to wake up from. Maybe it'll be death, yeah? So death will occur, and you'll see nothing ever really happened, ever. Who knows? But if you can give meaning to everything, then everything doesn't really have a meaning. Yeah? Then it is empty, like Buddhism would present. That it is empty. That form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. So form is an appearance of emptiness. Everything is inherently empty, therefore everything is dreaming. Yes? It's appearing to be so. It isn't so. We are what's so. In a weird way, we're not appearing to be that to what we're not. That's what's occurring. To what we're wasting fucking time, and it doesn't matter, trying to convince what we're not that it is what we are. It's pointless. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. It already has a belief that it's that, yeah? You want to waste all your time trying to convince it otherwise? Just move from it, yeah? See, you think you gotta fucking walk the dog, it will follow you, yeah? It's the shadow. You're what's casting it. It's not casting you. See you, void. I'll see you in the void, George.
I'm the obscuring agent. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here.
See you as clear can be. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, George. Chantal, do you want to unmute yourself still?
And then there's Kevin, Kerry, Chantal.
Okay, I'm going to unmute you if you want, in case you want to.
Yes, she is. She's trying to, probably.
Okay, I hit unmute. Chantal, you need to unmute yourself.
Now you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question was like, often you guys talk from things coming from the mind, you know, and for me, it's very easy to see when it comes from there that it doesn't hold water. But when it hits the feeling, you know, which it's a little bit like for somebody else, maybe it would be when they touch something, or when that's the part that very make them identify or anything. But for me, it's the feeling. So when the feeling comes, it's harder to separate myself, to see it as a thief and become the policeman to see that as a thief, because I'm right in it, you know, and it's a
You
bit
don't
more
have to.
difficult.
You just do this. The feelings are coming unbidden, yes?
Wait, because I'm gonna put my okay, yeah,
The feelings are coming unbidden, yes?
yeah,
But there is an add-on you can notice that the feelings are being used to imply the one feeler, yeah?
yeah,
So the way we see feelings, we think feelings are producing an effect in us, yeah?
mm-hmm.
But really, they're delivering a meaning that's given to them through the mind.
Okay,
You can see that. So
yeah,
the convincing quality the feelings have doesn't come from the feelings. They come from the feeler, the identification
okay,
of the feeler.
yeah,
Yes. So check it out that way.
okay,
It isn't about being separated of the police or thief. You're just seeing the activity of ownership of shit you don't actually own. Yeah.
Okay.
There is no feeler, none. There's feeling.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
If anything that is allowing feeling, I would say it's consciousness, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're definitely not the source of consciousness as Chantel or as Paul the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul the body is an object that can be perceived, so it's definitely not that which is perceiving. Yes?
Yeah.
So just have these simple ideas, and when feelings arise and they feel so thoroughly real, they do. Yeah? But what's allowing that to occur is not the feeling, it's the my feeling. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
The feelings are coming and going. It's like sitting and watching a stream. Yeah? All day. As long as you're on, there's feelings, sensations. A lot of them get unnoticed. But those feelings are being used by the mental state to sort of reinforce a system that it's managing all day, which is called self-centeredness. It's just basically that. And
Yeah.
that's why someone talked to earlier about the interpretation. So you're gonna live by the mental state's interpretation of the feelings. You're not living by the feelings. You're being lived by an interpretation of the feelings. So let's
Mm-hmm.
just be clear what's happening, because if you're not clear on what's happening, a lot of shit will be happening without knowing it. Yes?
Yeah.
Seriously, seriously. And then you'll be believing something that's true, but that's sort of mutated. It's a pointer, but to send you on the wrong track, so to speak. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like next thing you know, you leave your job.
Hmm?
I said next thing you know, you leave your job, right? And then you're like, what did I did that for?
Leave your job, and I'll tell you, if you leave your job and it felt right, you'll be taken care of.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is it? See, there's some people, before they make the move, they want to be guaranteed of a step, yeah? And then other people step, and then the stair appears. I'm in the latter camp, yeah?
Okay.
I'll just step, and the stair appears. And it hasn't failed me much in this life. It hasn't.
Yeah.
That I can observe and testify to, yeah? Yeah. And it's about fucking time, yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chantal. Hey, Paul, you might want to put the iPad up a little bit. Half your face is not showing sometimes.
All right.
Yeah,
Him?
Let me see. Hey,
just a little bit. Sometimes it would drop down.
anyway, yeah?
What? Oh yeah, it is
Yep.
getting dark.
Fading out. Anyway.
It's a very nice lighting, so we can still see.
All right. Good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm unmuting Carrie.
I have a beautiful meal with candles right across from here. So make it
Paul,
good. Make it good, the question.
this is it, Paul.
All right. Let's go.
Sorry, I accidentally muted him. Okay,
All right.
good. Start again.
I
Sorry.
want you to comment, please, if you can, on to know God is to be God.
Yes, yes. Well, the way I look at that in a weird way is to know what is playing God is to be God. Yeah? Because what's playing God ain't God in a way. It is, but in a way. So by knowing what's playing God is being God. Yeah. See, if you can recognize something playing God, I would imagine you're recognizing it from God. Let's use it. I don't like the term God, but yeah, yeah. But that's a famous statement by Ramana. So to know God is to be God. Yeah.
That just trips me out.
Does it?
It does. When I heard it, I was like, I don't know. It's just, I can ponder that for a long time.
Well, that's great then. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I just wanted to hear what you had to say.
I don't know. I like to use it as to bring it back to recovery, where there's a statement you have to quit playing God. It doesn't work. So first you got to know what's playing God, and then realize because it trying to quit playing God is playing God. So yeah. So by knowing what's playing God, you'll be God, because there'll be nothing you need to do to that which is playing God. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Okay. That's
playing God. Huh? Yeah.
thank
So that's how I see it.
okay. Cool.
And I still love that statement. That's because it's very fast. Yeah. To know God is to be God. Yes. Because in most cases, to know God is to be a knower of God. So the emphasis is on us again. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Maybe that's the one thing, if you finally know, you'll be, because you are God. Yeah. Yeah. But I
yeah.
like to take the negative way and know what you're not, and then that's how you find out what you are. Yeah. I don't see how it can work the other way. I don't, but
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Carrie. Anybody else want to raise their hand?
Judith from Hawaii. Unless she's flagging a bus down, I don't know which one. Oh, it's a question.
I've unmuted or tried to. Can you unmute yourself, Judith?
Yeah, I've got it.
I can hear you, hon.
Well, mahalo, Paul. Thank you so much. Um, well, I have one for you about recovery, and it has to do with the Ramana Maharshi little story about the woman who lost her necklace.
Yeah.
That's recovery right there. That she thought there was a recovery, but all of the time she was just frantic, thinking, fearing that she lost the necklace, so that it went completely unnoticed. That was so cool. And so, yeah, so that's recovery. Another
also,
one is that,
that way, if that could possibly happen about something that couldn't be lost, that would be dreaming, in my view.
yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true.
Dreaming that she lost it, and therefore she was super bummed out. But that being bummed out, it was like in the Course, it would say a causeless effect, because she hadn't lost it.
Right,
So
right,
she bummed out because
right,
she believed she lost it, which
right.
is dreaming. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Because you cannot recover.
exactly. And then the thing is, what that sets up is the hopeful joy of finding it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good too.
Being it, the mental state doesn't want to be anything. It likes becoming shit. It does. It likes the idea of losing shit so that it can be the one who finds it. It does. It likes
Right.
all this. It likes to take. It likes to make. Remember that game when you were young? I don't know. In America, we had a game where you'd send the kids looking for something in the yard, and it was hot and cold. So if they were getting close, you would go warmer, warmer, and then when you get really close, it'd be hot. But in this case, it's all made up. So someone's going, you're getting warmer, 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 hot. Oh, you're cold. Because you're that which you're looking for. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
love it. I
So
love it.
I would see all that. That leads to the idea of dreaming to me. Yeah. I mean, how could I not be dreaming if I'm giving everything all the meaning it has? If something was real, it would give me its meaning. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
With thoughts, if we seem to have the same thoughts, but they have a different wallop based on the my, yeah, then the thought has less importance than the one that's dreaming the thoughts.
Oh, I know. That's exciting.
It's just a thought, but it can be so much can be put into it by this without us knowing it, this representative of meaning that's pouring meanings into thoughts that if someone else is having them, I can feel sorry for them, but I'm not affected by it. but the same thought could be ruining my day if it was held as mine. I don't see how that doesn't lead to dreaming. How can you see this as a real fucking place?
Yeah. Oh.
If it was a real place, it would stay real. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
It would be the worst thing that ever happened to me, and then the best thing that happened to me end up being the same thing that happened to me. That's all dreaming. So where does that lead you? Well, Jesus Christ. Well, if that's dreaming, what else is dreaming? Well, there you do. You've opened up for some new downloads because, and then what the hell? You know, when you're in the dream, that tiger in the dream is scaring the bejesus out of you. When you wake up, that dream tiger isn't scaring you anymore. It's not based on the tiger. It isn't. It's based on the dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're dreaming no matter what, but you can be awake to that or you can be asleep to that. But you're dreaming. It doesn't matter. We're dreaming. This is what's happening here. Yeah? And then we're getting an interpretation of the dreaming. Yeah? And then it just keeps adding like steps from itself. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of like stepping in flypaper with hoping that the next piece is going to tell you how to get out of flypaper. And then the next flypaper, flypaper, flypaper.
Oh,
I
I
mean, what
love all that.
Buddha, they said everything is empty in Buddhism. Yeah, it's a big thing. Empty of what? Empty of any long-lasting independent existence. It's an appearance. It's appearing. And what is it appearing to? It seems like it's somewhere around us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to be near the vicinity of what it is appearing to, don't I? I don't know. You know, and even where I think I'm in the vicinity of what everything's appearing to, I'm an appearance in the dreaming over there. You
Uh-huh.
see very clearly Paul as an object. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that you were in my dream. That's for sure. I am so very grateful.
Oh,
And
good.
so, yeah, because now I know that the lion is a dream and the sheep are a dream. And I'm just watching both of them do their thing. And it's cool. The sheep, the lion, no mountain, mountain, no mountain. It's very cool because Paul talked to me. And I heard it, and every word that you say is so penetrating, Paul. When I was afraid of losing my necklace, I turned on Paul and all his YouTube every day. It's like, oh, let's listen to Paul.
I'm going to start selling lost necklaces.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judith. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Thanks, Judith.
Where's that necklace?
I'm grateful for the gratitude going through Judith back to you and you on to other people.
Yeah.
It's a good flow. Yeah, none of these squares can keep it out. It's
No.
going in through.
Don't share awareness.
It's funny.
Go for that.
All right. Well, say, Judith, take it easy, man. No, you're already taking it easy.
Yeah.
Don't take it any more easy.
Go with the flow.
Anyone else?
Anybody else want to raise their hand?
Time flies by.
Well,
we can end soon if you like.
What?
We can end soon if you like.
Okay,
Huh?
and I wanted to thank Nick for his list that helped me remember to do things, and your connection is great. It was really good sound, good video. It's great.
Oh, good. Well, we finally talked to a live person at Comcast.
Okay. Thank them too then.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's harder to get through the the gates of heaven than it is to get to a live person at Comcast.
Oh, the kids will be happy now too, right? Or the kids.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I really like seeing everyone. Ben, always good to see you. Don't get up, Ben. Never get up. Keith, remember, there's no spaceship on the other side of the sun. Clifford, Carrie, thank you for the knowing being. Yeah. Roxanne, very nice to see you. Your square has lit up more and more as the night progressed. That's good. That's my thermometer, my satsang thermometer. Yeah, let's see. We got Pat, all about healing, even when she's not talking about healing. Dennis, there he is. Deepak, always good to see you. We got Zoe over there. Zoe, yes, your finances are well. Good. Fantastic. Happy to hear that. James, my main man. Always good to see you. Richard, at least once a week, look underneath that beard, Rich. Seriously. Kelly, how are you? Nice to see you, Kelly.
You too.
Yes. Gary, fantastic. Get back in your corner, Gary. George, you come out of the void. That's good. We got, oh, Linda. Nice to see you, Linda. Coco, fantastic. I want you to send me Federal Express one of those freaking desserts. Overnight. I'll pay whatever it costs. Brahmi. Nice to see you, Brahmi. You're out, you moved out of the solar panel. That's good. You remember solar panel? Nikki, writing a new song as we speak. That's good. Dimitri, fantastic. Nice to see you. Yeah. I know I'm in good hands. Let's see. We got Chris. Chris has, it's finally transcended. That's good. Alan, very nice to see you. Rob, fantastic. Stacy, always a pleasure. Celia. Oh, Susanna showed up. Very nice. Nice to see you, Susanna. We were just talking about you. We didn't say anything negative, don't worry. We were just wondering where you were. Kaiser, I'll see you at the recovery thing. Yes? Yeah. Johans, very cool. Yariv, miss you on Wednesday. Yeah. Let me see who else is here. We got the same page, and then just, I don't know, these people don't show their face, so whatever. All right, hey, thanks everybody. I'll see you, it's Tuesday, Thursday, 10:30 in the morning, Pacific time, recovery Zooms.
Non-duality Saturday.
Yeah, non-duality's at 1:30 Pacific time, the non-duality, and every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Pacific time, non-duality. And I beg you to tell me what's the difference between both of them. All right.
I have less questions on non-duality Wednesdays.
I know.
Night, guys. Good night, Paul.
All right, see you guys.
Night, Mike.
Thank you.
See everybody.
See ya,
Thank
Mike.
you for all the shares.
Sonny,
Ciao.
very good not to hear from you today, Sonny. There you are. All right, Sonny. Sharon, pleasure. Thanks for everything. Brahmi, take it easy. Julie, she's writing another book probably. Dennis, Judith, yes. Keith, my main man. I had a nice coffee with him from social distance. Saying my, if we ever come, I got to get in touch with you. If we ever come back there.
Ask Bonnie to show us what she's working on tomorrow.
All right, good. Yeah, ask her. Mike, fantastic. Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Mike, in the morning.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, see you, Judith. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night, James.
Mm.
Hi, James.
I'll try to clean up my bedroom for tomorrow. Maybe.
Right.
Good night, John boy.
Mm.
That's how it is for me Wednesday nights. It's like you all are the last people I'll see before I wake up.